So here's the start. We're getting ready to go now. So your position on the start line is very good. But remember, on the road bike and on any bike, that when the road is wide, more riders can fit across. So even though maybe we're in the third row, maybe kind of the fourth row, there's riders from both sides. So like, while this looks like we're in the front here, we're actually, where you are here is like also not really the front, because all these people are going to smash in from both sides of you. So right when you start this race, don't just look at, okay, there's 2 rows in front of me, or you see another person, there's 3 rows in front of me. You got to think about, okay, I need to get into that front row straight away because the sides are going to come in. But you really got to start putting the gas down. You want to get out of here as fast as possible, because once you're in position, it's not going to require a whole lot to hold position. Now watch what I'm talking about. So here we go. Start. You're on the left side. Poof. Look at this. All these people just came back, and now you are in 50th position. So like in the Tour de France, or like racing like that, this happens all the time. This is called quacking. There's the shuffling. There's the flow. This is already too far back because the front people are sprinting. So you are sprinting, but you are now sprinting in 50th spot. So if you take the time from the first person to where you are, you're already 30 seconds behind once it strings out. And that's the dangerous place, because as soon as this group strings out, that's when the accordion effect happens. And that's where right now we're 2 seconds or 3 seconds behind the front. When it spreads out, now you're 30 seconds. And then if a gap happens or whatever, you're in trouble. So here we go. We're off already way too far back. This is way too far back. I can see you're doing 400, whatever watts, but, got to get up to the front, got to sprint as hard as you can. This is way too far back. This is you need to be doing 500 or whatever to get to the very first people here. So now we're almost to the good spot. We're almost there. Now this is a sweet spot right where you are now. This is very good. But see what happens. You're shuffling back right there. Boom. Big shuffle. So like you have to anticipate that shuffle. So you see how we'll go back here right before the shuffle. We'll go back. You see how there's this little hole right here? You need to be in that hole, and you need to slingshot up to the front. So do you see how this hole is opening here? That means that the algorithm and the riders are just going to come around you faster than you can react to. So here you're recovering too easy. I mean, we're 8 seconds into this race. You've got to be doing this flow, and the flow is going to look like moving to the front, but not coming off the gas too much. And then just these constant, just like we do in training, these little short efforts, right? These little, 10-second efforts. So you're going to come back 20, 30 seconds, recover, and then you're going to do a little quick sprint up. Okay. So this would have been a time we're almost like kind of past to win this time. So let's go back a little bit more here. So we're going to hit play. We're going to go back. So this is a good spot. We're in a good spot right here, right here, right here, right. Good spot. Now you need to move up. So you can see this hole right here. You need to fill that hole with your wheel, because the people are going to fill that behind. This is exactly the same as real road cycling too. That gap is no good. So you want to fill that and then use that to slingshot yourself all the way up into those first people. Now, you got to do these little efforts, because every time you fall back, that's an even bigger effort to get back to the front, and that's what you do. So watch this. We're about to see there's that hole. Now all the riders are coming around. Now it's like, whoop, we just lost 20 spots, 30 spots right there. Now look at this. This is way too far back. Now, this is code red situation, way, way, way too far back. We can't even see the front. You see that we're losing the wheels right here. You can see over here on the right side, the peloton is bunching. So those people are all getting a much better draft than you're in right now. So we need to go. We're going to have a look at this real quick. Boom, 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 boom. Too far back. I know you're doing a big sprint, but it's just like the real peloton. You cannot come back there. So now we're finally making progress. We're about to the front. Now, bam. This spot right here is perfect. this is a great spot. But the problem is that you came from the entire back of the peloton to this spot. So what's going to happen is most likely you shuffled around the riders before they're ready to shuffle around you. So this is why we don't want to drop as far back as you did, because that effort was too hard to get to the front. But this is where you want to stay. So we're staying here. Now you're up here. Now be ready for the washing machine. They're going to shuffle. There it is. You see the shuffle right there? Now you got to shuffle right back. So right now, follow this girl on the left. You need to shuffle to the front. Needed to shuffle to the front. We're not shuffling to the front. Boom. There you are at the back. Okay. So when you see the riders moving forward, you've got to shuffle front. You can't time it or think I've got to recover before the climb, because you don't know when the peloton's going to shuffle. We call it the washing machine. So you move up like you did, and then you look for the next people that's moving, and then you got to go with them. Okay, so it's all these small little efforts. That's why you want to control the floors and control the ceiling. So in this case, you really, really need to fight, because once you start this climb, it's a really, really short climb. So they're going to go like gangbusters. It's at the start. So here we are. We're too far back. There's a hole. We're in the smoking section right here. There's like zero hope right here. You can't cover any moves here, and you're back here, massive accordion. And you can see that actually we're not even really getting a good draft here. So this is too far back. Here we are, and we're trying to do a last ditch effort. I can see you there accelerating, but again, we're unable to move, because remember, the riders in the front are going flat out because they're fighting for position for the climb, just like a real road race. Fighting for position like a real road race will go as hard as it can into the climb. The first part of the climb hard, and then everyone slows down. But that's where the selections are made from the riders behind. So here we're too far back. We're going in. The peloton is bunched up, but as soon as we hit that right-hand switchback, you're going to see what happens. Here we are. We're trying to move up. Too late. We're way too far back. We're coming in right now, unable to, this would have been a great time right now if you had a Hail Mary to throw it in right now, but we're too far back, right? We're getting shuffled. We're getting kicked around, and this is the back of the group, right? You can see that there are no riders coming around us. The other riders behind you, I think they're probably actually dropped, right? You see two minutes behind. So we're second to last right now in the group starting to climb. So this is too far back. We can see here on the sheet, there's one rider on your wheel. They're probably not going to make the selection. And then you can see everyone behind is dropped. So, they missed the boat on that start. So here we are going into the first corner, and you can just see right there. And when I raced, this is the most horrifying possible position to be in, because here you are, on one part of the climb, and you can look up the side and you see people sprinting. And if this was a real road, you would actually be braking right now because of the turn, and you would look up the road and you would see the riders on the front sprinting, and you're currently braking. So we're doing 343 watts right now on the very back. Now, let me tell you, the front is probably doing less than 343 watts at the moment, but you're going to have to slow your watts down in a second, and that's going to be the same time that they accelerate. So here we go. Look for your watts to drop. There it is. So here your watts came down. Those riders have exited the turn, and they're attacking each other, 350, whatever they're doing, while we're trying to recover, because they sprinted into the climb. We did not sprint into the climb. So now we're paying that sprint back, and the exponential exaggeration of that, because we're at the back of the group. So we're going to have to do more watts to catch up. And remember, the group strung out. So for it to come back together, so the front of the group is doing 340 watts or something like that. The back of the group's doing 300 watts. But guess what? There's 30 seconds, like we talked about, between the difference between the first and where we are. So this tail is going to try to catch back up to the ball, and that's going to make a 400 watt acceleration, which is not possible for us. So here we are. Let's have a look at that, and we can see we're just at the back. No chance. You can already see right here gaps opening, right? This is what you don't want to see and why there's nothing good back here in particular. We can already see these gaps forming, just like a real race. There's nothing you can do. The front is going Looney Tunes, and this is what I just was talking about. You can see that tail scrunch back up, and it rips what was just in front of us away like a freaking slinky, and it's just like, whoosh, right? And so that's it. What was just 1 second gap just gets slinkied away, and now it's a 20-second gap. It's a 30-second gap. It's game over. The front riders, they're probably recovering right now, and we're in panic stations mode right here, thinking, oh my gosh, we got to get across 6 watts per kilo, whatever, and you can see, right, the riders in the front. Let's just look at this real quick. You can see the riders in the front that are dropped. These are 4 seconds down already from this first split, right? These are the people that's just in front of you here. They are doing the same watts that the front riders are, but because one person let the wheel go, the gap's there, and road cycling is a game of gaps. There's absolutely nothing you can do. So, you're not doing much less power than these other riders, but remember, they're attacking. And let's be real. We know this climb that basically when you get to that turn, it levels out. So those riders are going Looney Tunes to that turn because they know there's going to be a good draft there. So here they are. You can see it strung out. Again, it's getting strung out. They're attacking. And then this is the spot where you really need to get to, where it dips down. This is where there's going to be draft and recovery in the peloton. So all those people that went up that first part of the climb were going gangbusters to get to this point where they can take a breath and recover in the front. And like we saw that tail behind, right? We're looking up here. We can see riders already going 4 watts per kilo, no problem. And we're back here. The gap's open, and there's just really, it's going to be tough to come back at this point. In ZWIFT, there's no cars. So like in the road races or real races, you might be able to get some help from the cars as they, right now the cars would come around to follow the peloton. And that's how we see a lot of riders get back in the peloton. But in ZWIFT, there's no cars, and the formula exponentially increases the speed the bigger the group. So we're in a group of, 4 gruppetto right here. And, we're with the riders. And so here's an important thing for you to think about. We're with the riders that were with us at the back. So we can't, again, we got to look at the game of cycling, and the game of cycling is this. You cannot go from the back to the front on the first explosive climb in the race that is the most decisive climb. It's impossible, but we don't see any riders from behind us that passed us. That's important observation. And we don't see any riders that were ahead of us, that were far ahead of us, with us. We only see the riders that were with us, and this friendly person right here in the dark blue, they're the person that let the gap go. At that speed, at that intensity, at this point in the race, there's no way to go around them. It's not possible. It's the same in pro cycling. It's not humanly possible to go from the front or from the back to the front on this type of effort in this critical point in the race. It's not possible. You cannot start at the back. You will get dropped every single time. It does not matter how good you are. So here we are. We can see there are some riders that were dropped in this last section. But again, let's look at this climb. It's on like Donkey Kong to that corner, and then it's just 1 or 2% right here. So all you had to do was be further up and be in that little ball that we were talking about in that top 15 positions for 1 minute, and then you would have got to this section and then just been sucked along as the riders attacked all the way up. And guarantee that front group split up a little bit, but then on the descent in this section came back together. So now we have some more riders that are getting dropped or that got dropped from the front group, and this is a gruppetto. So we want to get on the wheel with these riders. You can see that they're sprinting for the top. So it's important that we're on these riders' wheel going over the top into the descent so we can get a good rest on the descent. So here we are, finish it up all the way up and over, and boom, that's it. So that's a breakdown of the start of the race right there. I think pretty simple actually to make that group with the given fitness that you have. You just got to do those efforts like we talked about to position yourself, because again, the game of cycling works this way. You cannot work around that. and know, 50th position or whatever position is not the front. You got to be in that first 10, knowing that the riders, and especially on Zwift, where you actually don't have to pass people on the outside, you can just go through them. It's very, 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 very difficult to hold that position because, right, like people can just invisibly move around. So you really have to be in that first 10 in those critical moments before the climbs, like we talked about. And we knew with that corner, it was going to stretch out in that corner, and then that elastic was going to come back. So that's my feedback. I think you did a great job. And yeah, let's keep progressing.